Common area recreational vehicle storage and parking. We've presented a couple designs to the architectural committee and they rejected both designs. The final design, which was submitted this month, was again rejected without explanation. I'm asking that the board override the decision of the architectural review committee and approve this design, which has a low profile, will make it easy to designate and establish parking rows for your vehicle storage areas. We have to have some means of regulating and controlling where people park. We could put direct fences. We're in a grass field, so we can't use paint markers, which are typical. So I talked to Lou for quite some time about this, and Lou felt it was a good idea. And this is the only solution I have right at this point, and would ask you to consider this. There's one exception here. In the layout, it's 60-foot wide rows, and I included in the handout at the beginning of this meeting a drawing of that area. And the rows would be the dark, solid line that separates the two. There'd be butt-to-butt parking. There'd be 3 of these partitions.
Oh.
Before I accept any questions, I'd like to ask Robin to speak about what happened at the architectural committee and any background she'd like to give us from their perspective.
The members of the committee, there were several comments that apparently weren't captured in the minutes, felt that this low height was a dangerous height, that it would be easy for people at, what is it, 9 inches or something, with a 2-inch, 10 inches.
There's a foot up to it.
Would just be below the visibility level for people backing up and trying to park trailers. And that it would get hit, and it probably would damage the trailers rather than be damaged itself. And that was the A, and then the B comment was it's pretty ugly. And it would be the desire of the architecture committee that those beautiful Leland cypresses that were planted to shield the male area that's no longer needed be transplanted, to maybe mark the end of the rows or to completely divide off the ball field area. And more thought be given to landscaping dividers.
We are registering vehicles for storage in January to follow the resolution that we passed earlier, and so that's in place. It's in the newsletter. If you went with the landscaping option, you're going to have to at least wait till spring to make that happen. I also think you'd be looking at a great deal more money. The idea of this was it was low profile. It was only a foot high. There are trip hazards all over the field, and I think if they were clearly marked and maybe put markers on these, I don't think you'd have those issues. We had another proposal to the committee to use a similar type of arrangement that you have in your school bus with cables suspended with
and they were also deemed dangerous. And
they thought those were dangerous, but yet they're at the school bus stop. So I don't know what other solutions there are. Other than a fence, you could put a split rail fence. But Lou and I went through a lot of different design plans for this, and felt that this was the least, from a distance, it would not, interfere with the landscape, and felt this was a really good option and low cost to install.
What are the native?
There is.
No, let's let the board speak right before you.
Pardon?
Before we debate, Dave.
Yeah, I agree that this should be considered a temporary and mobile solution, and hopefully we'll find some other land and we can reuse this material. So I'd like to say that from the get-go. One comment I have you considered angling these parking spots? I mean, you back up a trailer lately, it's much easier to angle it into slots like this instead of making a 90-degree turn. And if you did that, you'd have less problem hitting these low barriers too. So I would suggest an angled approach, even if you lose a few parking spots. Kind of like out front here.
Steve?
I want to make sure I understand what I'm looking at here, and it passed out. You said something about the 30 feet indication on here, is really 60 feet? On this that you passed out at the beginning?
No,
of the
no,
meeting?
each line there is 30 feet. The gray area is 30 feet, those are your drive lanes. The
Gotcha.
parking space is 30 feet.
What's the significance of the bold line?
The
Two
bold
bold
line are
lines?
your barriers.
That's the only place?
Yes, and there's the third row at the very bottom here.
Okay, but those bold lines are the only place we're talking about, correct?
Yes.
We're not talking about boom, 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 boom. We're talking about one line like this, and another line like this.
It's not
Thank you.
It's not between slots, it's behind the rear of the slot.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. And we're not, have you estimated a cost on this? What length are we talking about here?
The lengths are about 150 feet per barrier. I'm not going out and.
So 300 feet roughly.
Yeah. It's not going to be a significant cost.
The only other question I had when I looked this over was, you mentioned 1 foot high, and you're using 8 by 8, 2 feet treated posts. You plan on sinking them a foot in the ground?
Yeah, it'll be sunk in.
But it's temporary.
Yes.
Okay.
It's very temporary. It can be easily repaired, it can be easily moved.
Okay.
Your parking cement blocks out here are 8 inches high.
Yeah.
They're not a trip hazard.
I don't see this as a trip hazard if all you're doing is putting away the bold line here.
Yeah.
That's the point I think I wanted to make.
Mel, do you have your hand up?
Well, I was just going to suggest, what about reflectors or something here instead? I mean, the reason that this has come to my mind is because UPS is running ours again today for the 100th time. But if someone hit one of those, it would certainly be easy to fix or replace or whatever.
Anybody else?
I make a motion to approve the proposal. Actually, it really isn't, this is really an appeal, isn't it?
It is an appeal.
I make a motion we grant the appeal of the office to install the, what do we call them, barriers, parking barriers.
Okay. Thank you, Pat. Rick, you had your hand up.
I guess I'm going to show some ignorance and obviously not knowing the history of it, and that's why I've been learning a lot at these meetings and stuff. Is this the only common area that the association owns? I mean, to me, it's a real eyesore. You got rusted out campers up there, and you got boats that are in disarray, and someday I hope this is I don't know how long the association has been around, the other committees, but I own property out in Orlando, and the front of when you enter the property, that's that trees, palm trees, and flowers, and you come up here, it's like, holy smokes, who lives back in there? I mean, there's a nice house there, there's a nice lake back there, and all of a sudden we come in around the corner, and you got these beat-up trailers and campers, and I don't know if you got any kind of regulations, like if the camper's 10 years old, you gotta get rid of it, or if it's rusting out. So I really hope there's a common area maybe in the back of somewhere in the back of where you're not looking at this stuff. The other thing, I'm just surprised you allowed this. I mean, I got my boats in my yard. That's where I keep my boats, I keep them out there and stuff. So anyway, I'm not really sure about the issue here, but I was thinking, you need actually the office should be a building with bricks and stuff, and you got this old beat up house and stuff. I'm just kind of amazed at all the places I've ever had or lived in associations that it was really a class act type thing. And this kind of parlays into, maybe I'll start getting active in this now, but to entertain something like this, but again, my ignorance, we may not have any other land here, and this may be the only place. But I hope someday that, I had a bent, and this is one area I'm going, oh, I can't believe that we're going to entertain this, but again, being ignorant about what we own here, when we acquire some land, and that's what
Not on the board.
I think Dave Bumer would like to say a few words about that.
I agree with what you're saying. We want this to be a class act, and this association for many years has been financially challenged for a lot of reasons.